Here is my 3D data processing decision tree I wish I had 10 years ago. So what I'm going to show you is really the complete framework to guide you onto deciding which processing pipeline you are going to use for a specific project. So the starting point is a project. And here I would take an example of a project. Imagine you're a land surveyor and you are asked to conduct a survey for 1 kilometer of urban road with everything. So you need to establish a topo map of the area, which has all the network, the utilities, and everything topographic, so that the municipality can thereafter know exactly what kind of construction they can conduct there. Okay, so that's the project. The question that we have is, okay, which technology are we going to use to conduct the full project? And the first question is, are we going to use LiDAR data or photogrammetry? So this is with passive sensors, or maybe we are not sure, maybe we could go with a terrestrial laser scanner, right? Or even an old tech, because we maybe don't need to go with these fancy devices or fancy techniques. So here I want to show you a decision framework to make sure that you pinpoint exactly always the best solution available at your fingertips without spending more than 5 minutes on this decision-making scenario. So the first thing is, very important, extract the constraint of your project. So we'll call that constraints, okay? So here you want to make sure that you can pinpoint accessibility. If it's on a road, of course, you may not be able to walk on the street because there are cars passing, there are trucks, it's a bit dangerous. That's the first thing, so accessibility. If it's maybe underground, I had a project where you go in the sewers or you go into very, very hard to reach places, so this is something to consider. Why? Because you will maybe not take a terrestrial laser scanner that is very heavy and cannot go through very tight spaces, and you could go with photogrammetry, but here you need lighting gears. So this is something that will really help you fine-tune which approach you will use essentially. So the second thing will be accuracy. Usually, if you work for other professionals, you will have a constraint which is accuracy. This is often overshot. The level of accuracy that is needed is not maybe what is truly needed, except in engineering work, where when someone asks you, we really need to know exactly everything at a 2 centimeter down level, you need to make sure that you can trust it and it's not only cosmetic. So accuracy would be very, very important. In the case of a project, we could say that the map that we want to deliver is at a scale of 1 to 100, which means that we need to have an accuracy pinpointed at 2 centimeter level. All right, so the third thing is check out on the constraint, the legal constraint. You may need to be required to have a specific license to acquire data. This happened to me very often when we were working close to an airport or defense facility where you cannot fly with a drone, for example, or you need to have extra layer of insurance that you can fly there. Or in some cases where I worked for a nuclear project or for highly classified defense project, then here, of course, you need to go through a certain step of certification. You need to sign a lot of stuff. But yeah, this is really something that you need to know, because down the line, you may need to adjust the technique that you will be using. In the case of drone flying, this is obvious, of course. And the last thing is, what is the end deliverable that you want to give to your client? Is it a map? In our case, the scenario will be yes. Or is it a 3D model, or is it something else? But I will talk about that later on at the end of the video, because you can upscale a bit. That's a strategy that I have in my framework, a little bonus. So that's the first element. Pinpoint all the constraints that will already help you cross out really some techniques that are not a good fit. In our case, I believe LiDAR will not be the best fit in a specific scenario. When I say LiDAR, it's aerial LiDAR, because we will not meet the accuracy. The legal standpoint will be a bit heavy for 1 kilometer, and the accessibility will be fine on the other end. But the deliverable will be hard to extract if you have a low density LiDAR flight. Okay, so that's a constraint. What is the second step? So here it's looking at the planning effort that you have. So the planning effort, what do I mean here? Essentially, how much time do you need to invest into making sure that the mission is carried on without any bottlenecks? And this is very easy to plan a project and just not think it through, or make it very quickly, or not give to your team all the necessary conditions they need to achieve a specific outcome. This is essential, this planning effort. And it's not at all the same if I had something in between. For example, if we wanted to do a mobile laser scanning acquisition, we need to plan the route. We need to plan exactly where we'll put targets for a ground control point, or all these kind of things. And this goes into the planning effort. Of course, depending on the size of your structure or where you are in that case, It could be automated or not, but this is something to consider heavily. The third thing, after the planning effort, is the on-site, let's say, efficiency. I will write it like this, efficiency. So this is the third element that is absolutely essential. How quick can you gather data when you're on-site? For some works, it's okay to actually, what is counterintuitive, this is absolutely okay sometimes to balance that out. What I mean is spend more time on site, but less at the office processing, because the pipeline is not really well fine-tuned or well automated. So I can give you an example. If you go with active techniques using LiDAR, TLS, or total station, you get the measurement directly, which means you may have to, you could skip a part of on the pre-processing side. Whereas with photogrammetry, you need to go through dense matching and so on, which take a bit more compute power, and it's a bit more liable to having issues. Okay, so here you may be more efficient on site, but you will lack on the processing side of things. So this is always what I'm saying, is always try to have a very good balance between efficiency and time invested. So this is very key. Also, something that makes me think that it would be very important for me to say is, with this constraint, usually it means that don't use directly, I will put it here in big, don't use latest tech all the time, because that may not meet all the criteria, that not be the one that makes more sense. Use boring tech instead. And I like this term. And it's really often that we go with the latest tech, but I think going there first and the first choice usually yield better outcomes. Why? Because it's usually battle tested. So it's easier to handle that in scenarios where we need to be very productive. Okay. So after the on-site efficiency, what do we need? Well, the processing power, or the processing workflow, let's say, we'll call it like this. This is what we need to look after. How good is our downstream process once we gather the data? And here, of course, we'll also deal with the volume, the automation potential, and all this kind of things. So just as a sidetrack, what I'm talking about here is extracted from years of experience and also consulting with people in the French Tech 120 and Fortune 500. If you want to really get results directly, I encourage you to check out the book 3D Data Science with Python as firsthand, or to go into directly one of the course line at the 3D Geodata Academy. This is what I do. I try to push out as much knowledge as possible that you cannot replace with AI. So aside from that, the processing workflow, it's very important to know that, for example, you will have more time ingested into the photogrammetric pipeline because of the compute needed. Whereas with LiDAR, if you have a full already a pre-positioned total station shot or things like this, it will be much easier. But again, you also need to consider the compute nodes that you need and all this very important aspect of the compute pipeline. So after that, we need to speak about the fifth step, which is deliverable and cosmetic. Deliverable plus cosmetics. And here, I can already say that it's very important to have that also constraining which kind of branch we are going to take. Because if you are using an all tech like total station, okay, you will choose on site specifically the points that you want to gather. You will shoot one for the street, you will shoot one for the building corners, you will shoot one for the poles, and have some for manholes and so on. If you need a higher level of resolution that you missed out on site, you cannot go there. Whereas sometimes with other techniques like photogrammetry and LiDAR and laser scanning, you gather everything, you capture everything, and then you choose at the office what exactly you want to pinpoint for your developer. So it gives you a bit more flexibility. If this is not very clear in your constraint, make sure that this really highly impact the choice toward one of the other. All right. And the cosmetic, of course, is what do you need to do to prepare so that it's a professional deliverable and not just something sent that looks totally ugly. Usually, this kind of, I don't like to say it, but usually cosmetic could hide default in accuracy and so on. So that's a professional deformation. But when I receive an absolutely stunning plan or floor plan or project for someone, this is where I get a bit cautious. I'm thinking, okay, there is something under the rug, if we can say it. All right, so after that, and this is what I really like, this is the bonus or the cherry on top, it's marketing and repurposing. So this should be really a big part of your, let's say, matrix of choice or framework. Here, you want to see if choosing a tech or a path for your 3D data processing pipeline will impact marketing or repurposing. What I mean here is that it's very often that we miss out on opportunities of leveraging the data that we have, that we gathered. We have to have a big line between the data that we capture and what we deliver to a client. What we deliver to a client, this is within the scope, and this is usually defined in the scope of the mission. But the way we arrive there, except in some tenders, is usually not locked onto a mission. So you can use any base data that you use for other things. And this is very important because sometimes you will know that, okay, I know that in 1 year I will be asked again to survey the area. So let me make a big one at a higher resolution than asked, so that the next year I can deliver something also which has more information or something like this. So this is repurposing and also marketing. And this is very strong because it also allows you to define a strategic roadmap where you don't do single shot services, but you can actually present yourself as a data provider or data as a service, where you capture data, you store it, and you have it for later use that you can pinpoint. The only downside here is, of course, you usually have to overshoot on the accuracy or other constraint, which may impact the first mission. So it's kind of an investment mindset at this stage. It's not always the case. So with all of that, one of the simplest case, so here I have 4 stuff, is you put a quiet round. I usually not recommend having to choose between 4 or more things, but you can, of course. And you can have any mathematical formulation that fits specifically your vertical, so your market. I try to wrap my head around to find a perfect mathematical formula here, but actually this is too much varying on the condition, the context, and your specific domain knowledge. So the simplest is to just add a point every time you have something for one of the strategy, and at the end you have something that is more or less quantitative. But if you want to go a bit more, then I will recommend you to have something that is a bit better on the mathematical foundation. So that's about it for me today for this whiteboard session. I just wanted to share with you this framework that has helped me immensely in the late years. I wish I had that much more early in the beginning of my career, because I did some mistakes where I should have maybe gone with old tech instead of the latest tech, where afterward I was just scratching my head and having really almost nightmares about why did I went this direction instead of the other one. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe and leave a like just down below. This will help the channel reach maybe more people and have people that are a bit better at thinking not on the surface level, but go a bit deeper, especially in today's age where AI is everywhere. Hopefully this content help as many people as possible. So I hope you got a ton of value out of it, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.